what we talking about. We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin', and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. Here we go now. I'm talking about Mr. Gulley, and you don't know where he's been. Oh no, he's been right in your alley. Well, I'm Mr. Gulley, yes I am. So what we're talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin', and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. Ooh.
Wow, that was close. Hey, everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What is shaking on your Sunday afternoon? I hope you're having a good one. I'm really tired. Why am I tired? Well, look here. Here's Stanley Cross. Stanley Cross and I were on the air for 47 hours yesterday. In one day, we were on the air. My mic sounds... doesn't sound loud enough. Oh, what's going on here? I see what's going. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. And then I made the mistake of getting on a Discord. So I was up for way over 24 hours. That's where we want to be. Right here in the pocket, right here. All right. Mr. Cross, Stanley Cross, Stanley versus the World at the Urban Landlord Network. At the Urban Landlord. Oh, did we have some fun? We had us some good times, good camaraderie. The purpose of today's show, members, and by the way, if you're not a member, get out of here. Show's for members only. We are not going to have nearly enough time on Wednesday. Wednesday being, of course, the greatest moment in the history of what is going on with this sound? Yeah. Discord has discombobulated my audio again, but it might not be their fault. Yeah, see. Why doesn't, I just don't understand StreamYard. I really don't. It's like everything has to be reset every single time. Now we're where we need to be. Hold on. Check. 1, check 2, check testing. The quick brown dog jumped over the lazy fox. The quick was something. Anyway, we are not going to have nearly, and I mean nearly enough time to cover the one and the only legendary Ruta Lee when I speak to her on Wednesday night. And if you haven't already bookmarked it, if you haven't already, I mean, set the alarm on your phone right now for Wednesday night. And tell all your friends. Tell all your friends to be here. We're not going to have enough time. Not nearly enough time to cover her entire career. She is an amazing storyteller, and I'm not going to get in the way of that. So, what I thought I'd do today, especially considering my lack of sleep because, see, when you're an insomniac, it's not like you get up at 3 in the morning yesterday, which I did, and then start doing stuff. And then you see that Stanley's on the air at around 10 or 11 in the morning, and you start doing stuff then, and you do about, well, over 12 hours. I think it was about 15 hours. And then you get off there and you go into a Discord until way over 5 in the morning. You don't, go to sleep and catch up on your sleep. Not if you're a true insomniac. No, you get a little bit of sleep. You get a couple of hours, and then you're right back at it. There's Ruta Lee, waving and smiling in the way that she does. We're not going to have enough time to cover everything. So we're going to do a deep dive on the history of Ruta Lee today, so that when Wednesday comes along, you, as members of the Tom Gulley Show, will be able to say, hey, Hepcat, I know all about this. I already know all about this. I'm doing it for you, really. I got another photo here. Maybe you like this one better. We might as well start off with this one anyway. Might as well start. I got some other things, but let's start off. Look at that. Would you look at that? Oh, well, back in the day, we called a lady like this a doll. A doll. Yes. Ruta Lee was actually born Ruta Mary Kilmonis back on May the 30th of a year in the past. And all great people are born on May 30th, which I will point out to her on Wednesday. She is a Canadian-born American actress and dancer of Lithuanian descent. She was born in Montreal, Canada, to Lithuanian immigrant parents. I'm going to give you a quick thumbnail. The things that she's best remembered for in terms of individual performances, and even that's a misnomer because she appeared on so many television series. 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, which is a very famous film that I believe is taken from a Broadway musical, based on the legend of the rape of the Sabine women. Roman, But that was directed by legendary musical director Stanley Donen, and it made bank back in the day. Incidentally, the other cast members, excuse me, include Howard Keel, who's a very renowned actor of his time, Russ Tamblyn, who you might recall from West Side Story. Let's see here. Jane Powell, Julie Newmar, hello. Ruta Lee, of course. Virginia Gibson. Ian Wolfe is one of the townspeople. There's just a lot of famous people in that. And so this was a big, big musical. And she was one of the 7 brides. She was also in Witness for the Prosecution, which is a legendary film in its own right, directed by Billy Wilder, who's, again, just a seminal figure in Hollywood. Starred Tyrone Power, Marlena Dietrich, Charles Lawton, Elsa Lanchester, Bride of Frankenstein, and others. It's set in London, don't you know? And it's based on the play of the same title, written by none other than Agatha Christie. 6 Academy Award nominations for this film. 6, count them, 6. Now, Ruta Lee was not necessarily the pivotal character in this film, but she was an important character. A young woman watching the trial waiting for the main character to be freed. So there you go. And, again, in just a gigantic Hollywood production. Also known for the musical Funny Face, which was another giant hit, a romantic comedy, also directed by Stanley Donen and containing songs by George and Ira Gershwin. It's a very well-known film, and it did star Audrey Hepburn, Fred Astaire. Do I need to even go further than that? And the lovely Ruta Lee played Letty in the film. So there you are. So she was in some highly visible, highly prominent films early on in her career. She's also known, a lot of people remember her for an episode of The Twilight Zone called A Short Drink from a Certain Fountain. And it's an episode where a scientist gives his brother an experimental youth serum in order to save his marriage to a much younger woman. Guess who plays the much younger woman? I'm going to give you one guess. Just the one guess. Anyway. It goes as you might think. So, there you are. The youth serum turns him into being a very, very, like a toddler. And so the roles are reversed, and she's going to be old when he's young, and, that's Twilight Zone for you. Hopelessly caught in a situation far beyond my control through my own greed and avarice. That's the Twilight Zone. Obviously, she was a guest star on a huge number of TV series. I'll get into those in just a second. But she was on a lot of game shows as well. Hollywood Squares, What's My Line, Match Game, and was Alex Trebek's co-host on High Rollers. As I mentioned, she was born on May the 30th in Montreal as the only child of Lithuanian Roman Catholic immigrants. Her father was a tailor, and her mother was a homemaker. Her family moved to the United States and ended up settling in Los Angeles, where she graduated. She is one of the many legendary graduates of Hollywood High School, and she began studying acting there and appearing in school plays. She attended both Los Angeles City College. By the way, Los Angeles City College, another place, a lot of actors of repute and performers have attended school. Also, then she transferred to UCLA. She worked as a cashier, usherette, and candy girl at the legendary Grauman's Chinese Theater. There's a story regarding that, which I will have her tell. I won't do it justice if I can get her to. And that'll be the first thing I ask her on Wednesday night. Spoiler alert. That's what we in the business call, it's what the kids call a spoiler alert. You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh, and this is what we call foreshadowing. That's what we call foreshadowing. She got her break as a guest on 2 episodes of the very popular CBS sitcom, The George Burns and Gracie Allen Show. And that got her an agent. And the agent landed her a job in an episode of The Roy Rogers Show, followed by a spot on the series The Adventures of Superman. Everything she does is legendary. Everything. That same year, while acting in a small theater production of On the Town, she landed a role as the bride Ruth in 7 Brides for 7 Brothers. But at the time, due to apparently an error, she was billed as Ruta Kilmonas, her real name, rather than her stage name as Ruta Lee. After that, she appeared in several films, including Anything Goes, Funny Face, Witness for the Prosecution, and Marjorie Morningstar. Marjorie Morningstar is kind of an interesting movie. You know, it was based on a famous novel by Herman Wouk, and it's a coming-of-age story. The film itself stars Gene Kelly and Natalie Wood, and there are a number of other actors of note. Ed Wynn, Carolyn Jones from The Addams Family. There you go. Marjorie Morningstar. Anyway, on goes Ms. Ruta Lee. And she played the female lead and a very pivotal role in the Rat Pack comedy western film Sergeants 3 with Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford, and Joey Bishop. And she by far is the highest billed female star and kind of the reason for the plot of that movie, the character that she plays. It's an interesting film. Check it out if you get a chance. You'll enjoy it. It's a typical Rat Pack romp. She also co-starred with Audie Murphy and Darren McGavin in a Western, Bullet for a Bad Man. In addition to films, she has been a guest star, and I mean the sort of guest star at the time that would just make an episode sparkle. Her performances were always just point perfect and brought just so much to the table in terms of a particular show. She seemed to be everywhere on the small screen. She was in 8 different episodes of the CBS crime series The Lineup. She also played the leading lady in the 3 episodes of Maverick. For those of you keeping score at home, the Comstock Conspiracy with James Garner, The Plunder of Paradise, and Betrayal with Jack Kelly. In 1959 and 1960, she was cast in 4 episodes of the crime drama U.S. Marshal, which was a pretty popular show at the time. She was on The Rebel with Nick Adams, which was he was a hot up-and-coming star. She made 5 guest appearances on the CBS courtroom drama Perry Mason. She played a murderer. She played a defendant in other episodes. Here's a few of the other things that she was in. Richard Diamond, Private Detective. Now, Richard Diamond, Private Detective was an amazingly popular show on the radio starring Dick Powell. And it was really great. Blake Edwards wrote a lot of the radio scripts, and they were just awesome because it was a detective series with a sense of humor. It was actually a funny show and also kind of detective-y. It was, hard-bitten and, all that good stuff. She was on Alfred Hitchcock Presents, Mickey Spillane's Mike Hammer, Sugarfoot, which, of course, was a rotating show with Cheyenne and Bronco, M Squad, Gunsmoke, 77 Sunset Strip, The Alaskans, Colt 45, Wagon Train, Bat Masterson, Hawaiian Eye, Cousin to 77 Sunset Strip, Rawhide with Clint Eastwood, The Wild Wild West, Ironside, The Fugitive. Oh, that episode of The Fugitive. Has everybody watched it? I hope so. Angels Travel on Lonely Roads. 3 episodes of Hogan's Heroes. She was also on 2 episodes of The Andy Griffith Show. She was cast as a movie star named Gloria Morgan in an episode of Gomer Dates a Movie Star on Gomer Pyle, USMC. In 1963, she was cast in CBS's Twilight Zone. I told you about that episode just a little while ago. And she's a true actress. She could play any role. She was a very callous gold digger in that particular episode. She started appearing on game shows in the early 1970s, but still continued to perform in film and television. Love American Style, The Mod Squad, and a movie that I will ask her about called The Doomsday Machine, which is very interesting to me because the movie started production in 1967, and apparently they ran out of funds. And they finished it in 1972 with no sets and stuff. But she'll give the real story about that. I'm probably not doing it justice. By 1974, she was frustrated by an increasing lack of roles and took a job co-hosting the daytime game show High Rollers. In the 80s, she lent her voice to episodes of the Flintstone Comedy Show and the Smurfs, in addition to guest roles on Chips, Fantasy Island, The Love Boat, Charles in Charge. She also performed extensively in the mid-80s on stage, including the title character in the musical Peter Pan. From 1988 to 1989, she played a recurring role on the CBS sitcom Coming of Age. She also played Sally Powers in the television movie Sweet Bird of Youth with Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor, did I mention? In the 1990s, Ruta Lee continued to appear in episodic television, most notably on the sitcom Roseanne. She appeared as the girlfriend of Estelle Parsons, whose title character had inadvertently outed herself. She played the wife of Jerry Lewis's character in the British comedy drama Funny Bones, in which they play the parents of Oliver Platt's character. In 2002, she was presented one of the Golden Boot Awards. That's no joke, and that's for her work in Western television and cinema. In 2006, As You See Me For Me Now, she was very, very, very justifiably awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame for her contributions to the television industry. In 1995, a Golden Palm Star on the Palm Streams Walk of Stars was dedicated to Miss Ruta Lee. In February of 2008, she appeared as Clary in a production of Steel Magnolias with Sally Struthers in Fort Worth, Texas, right here. Oh, she's got a connection to the Dallas-Fort Worth area I'll tell you about in just a second. In October of 2010, she played the role of Miss Mona in The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas in that very same theater, the Casa Mañana Theater in Fort Worth. In 1976, the hearts of millions were broken as Ruta Lee married Texas restaurant executive Webster B. Weblow Jr. They divided their time between their homes in Hollywood, Palm Springs, Fort Worth, and Las Hadas, Mexico. This gentleman unfortunately passed away in July of 2020. And in 2019, she was granted Lithuanian citizenship. Now, Stanley, if he's still with us, will very much appreciate this next thing I'm about to tell you about, which I consider to be these next two things. If these were the only things she ever did, she would be, number one, spectacularly well known, and number two, revered and respected by all. In 1964, she called then Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev, asking him to pardon her octogenarian grandmother, Ludvisa Kamendoulis, who had been sent to an internment camp in Siberia. Well, lo and behold, Nikita Khrushchev, like all of us, was not able to endure the charms of Ruta Lee, and that pardon was granted. And Lee's grandmother came to live with her in California later that same year. Lee again rescued a relative from the former Soviet Union when she secured custody of her 18-year-old cousin, Merta Kaseta from Lithuania in 1987. Here's a biggie, and I mean a biggie. Ruta Lee has been involved with the charitable organization the Thalians for over 50 years. In addition to raising money and providing services for troubled youth and mental health organizations, Ms. Lee, who is also the board chairman, co-produced the annual Ball of the Thalians with the late Debbie Reynolds, with whom she was best friends. Throughout 5 decades. In 2011, after 55 years of involvement with the Thalians, she stepped down and is now a member emerita. So not just talented, not just gorgeous, but a tremendous philanthropist and humanitarian as well. Let's get into the nitty. And yes, we're going to include the gritty as we go in deep on the career of Ruta Lee. Other films that she appeared in: The Girl in the Red Velvet Swing, The Twinkle in God's Eyes, Anything Goes, I may have mentioned that earlier, Gabby, Operation Eichmann. Well, let's learn a little bit about Operation Eichmann. Werner Klemperer, from Hogan's Heroes. Yes, he was the title role of that. It is a highly fictionalized account of the life of war criminal Adolf Eichmann. And she plays Eichmann's domestic partner, Anna Kemp. Anna Kemp. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you were here to see that. That may have been the most necessary drink of Mountain Dew Zero I've ever had in my life. Hey, you know what else? I should have mentioned this earlier. Just a week ago, Ruta Lee performed 4 sold-out shows at the, I believe it's called the Portal Theater. Let's see here, Portal Theater. I think that's what it's called. Daggone it. I can't tap. Let's see here. The El Portal Theater. And it's called The Jewel in the North Hollywood Crown. And she did 4 sold-out shows just a week ago. 4. And she'll be performing on her birthday, May 30th, at that very same theater. So if you're going to be in Los Angeles, if you need a reason to visit Los Angeles, you get your tickets now. They will sell out. Joanne Worley will also be appearing. And legendary comedian and comedy writer Bruce Vilanich, as well as some others that I'll go into in greater detail momentarily. She was in The Gun Hawk, Hoot Nanny Hoot, Bullet for a Bad Man. I believe I mentioned that earlier. Doomsday Machine. I want to ask her about that. Cracking Up. Funny Bones, Pterodactyl Woman from Beverly Hills. It's a live-action farcical horror film, which I'm laughing already. It's about a guy that discovers a dinosaur egg, prompting an eccentric witch doctor named Salvador Dali to put a curse on the paleontologist's wife, Beverly Angelo, causing her to slowly and intermittently transform into a pterodactyl. These things happen. Pretty When You Cry, Quiet Kill. She plays Doris in that one. Let's see what that was. Oh, it stars Corbin Berenson and Claudia Christian. Man, oh man. That had to be an action thriller. Sadie and the Slot Machines. She plays Sadie Silver. That was a short film. A Christmas Too Many. She played Grandma. It was a direct-to-DVD release. And Forever Young at Heart, which is also a short film. Now, television. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Television. Buckle your seats, kids. Schlitz Playhouse of Stars. She played various roles. And by the way, the playhouses and certain other what they called studio shows were one-off dramatic presentations. Okay? They were just sort of like they would do a television drama, but it was a singular episode. It was before, really, the made-for-TV movie. And these playhouses were a big deal. You know, they were dramatic presentations. So playing in those early on was a feather in the cap. I mentioned The Adventures of Superman, Burns and Allen, Lux Radio Theater, which was an extension of the long-running Lux Radio Theater. Basically, Lux Radio Theater, in a lot of markets, not all the movies would come there because they had only one movie theater. So in many places, you didn't necessarily get to see all the films. And by the way, they wouldn't necessarily be there that long. At the time of most of Lux Radio's theater's run, the United States, unlike today, was 75% rural, 25% urban. That's flipped. It's the exact opposite now. So for those people, Lux Radio Theater presented movies adapted for radio. Okay? Now, Lux Video Theater did comedy and drama in original teleplays, right? Original productions, as well as abridged adaptations of both films and plays. So, Lux Video Theater, she appeared on. Science Fiction Theater, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, more than once. I Led Three Lives, Dragnet. You know all about Dragnet. Highway Patrol with Broderick Crawford. Suspicion. Captain David Grief. Let's look into that series a little bit. It was an action-adventure series that ran for 3 years in syndication. It was based on a series of Jack London short stories centered on the South Seas tradesman and adventurer David Grief. So there you go. She was on Captain David Grief. Maverick, of course, we mentioned. The Lineup. She was on The Lineup 8 times. And that was a police drama that started off on radio and then was taken to television and actually ran for 6 years and then was syndicated under the title of San Francisco Beat. So there you are. 8 times. Always in high demand, Ruta Lee. The Gray Ghost, Playhouse 90, and another of those esteemed drama series. The Walter Winchell File, which was basically one of the many Walter Winchell failed. Walter Winchell did not do well on television. But 39 of these episodes were produced, and 26 airing on ABC, and 13 of them in syndication. It had a lot of great guest stars. Dan Blocker from Bonanza, Charles Bronson, Mike Connors, you know him better as Mannix, James Drury, Jack Klugman, Diane Ladd, Martin Landau, Tom Laughlin. Oh, yes, Tom Laughlin, Billy Jack, Gavin MacLeod, Struther Martin, Marion Ross, Mrs. C, Harry Dean Stanton, and Robert Vaughn. So they had some really great casts on the lineup. The Gray Ghost. On Walter Winchell File. Mickey Spillane's Mike Hammer. She appeared twice on that program. And Darren McGavin was Mike Hammer on that series. And I know from the popularity of the show we did on Kolchak, the Night Stalker. People loves them some Garen. I have no energy today. I'm telling you. Man with the Camera. That was a Charles Bronson crime drama about a war veteran turned photographer and investigator. Now, this is the only TV series in which Charles Bronson played the lead role. Chef is in the house. He is an actual chef. We always love to see him here. Bronson played Mike Kovac. And you know what else about that series? Somebody you know, I'm not going to mention any names, owns the entire series. I love that show. I got me the whole thing. The whole dang thing. There's only 29 episodes. But I got them all. I got them all. Every last one of them. Don't kid yourself. I got them all. Let's see, home media. I don't know which of these two releases I have. I think I might have the alphabet. It's one of those DVDs you get, and it's got the files on it rather than like an actual main nav and all that. Brother. Present. Stanley Cross he's a dude, man. Called me, like he said I was like his big brother. I'm not like his big brother. We're peers. We're respected, peers. I'm not. I can't be a big brother to Stanley. He's too much better at too many things than I am. He's the Lone Ranger. I'm Tonto. If that's. She was on Rescue 8, a drama series about the LA County Fire Department Rescue Squad. Bet everybody was lining up to rescue Ms. Ruta Lee. December Bride, Sugarfoot, which was rotated with Cheyenne and Bronco. M Squad, Gunsmoke, 77, Sunset Strip. 77, Sunset Strip. Perry Mason, Yarcy Derringer, The Restless Gun. Now, The Restless Gun was that series I told you about. If you ever get a chance to watch it, watch it. It's really good if you like Westerns. John Payne in the role of Vint Bonner. Good old Vint Bonner. And The Restless Gun is one of the many shows I think that kind of reflects the position of Leonardo DiCaprio's role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Because John Payne was a guy that I don't think ever starred in another series of his own, but he was in a million other series. Right? You know what I mean? He was a film actor and was in film noir movies and musicals. He had a big role in Miracle on 34th Street. But television-wise, he really didn't. By the way, he was in Indianapolis Speedway, a movie from 1939, which I have seen. And let me just say, as a denizen of Indianapolis, Indiana, not exactly the most accurate film on earth. I say that with no animus. But, wasn't exactly, not exactly. By the way, John Payne did appear in an episode of Columbo, but he was never the guy again. Peter Gunn, and I may ask her about this. You guys can't imagine how much research and planning I am going to do for this interview, because I don't think I'm going to be able to ask her more than 10 questions. I think she can only be with us about 45 minutes, certainly no longer than an hour. And, that's more than I deserve. But I need to keep my questions very much to I want to ask her some questions, and I'm very well may say this to her. I'm going to ask you a couple questions you've been asked a million times, and then hopefully I'm going to ask you some questions that you are rarely, if ever, asked about. So, Peter Gunn, but also a really great show on its own. I don't know if you guys can hear the car. I don't know if you can hear that or not. Look, I'm a nice guy. I really am. And I don't like to cause problems for anybody. However, by the way, the graphic I'm showing you here is the show that sold out just last weekend. 4 shows, actually. I don't like to cause problems for nobody. I'm considering making an exception. I've been nice about it. I've said, look, if you park over in your own driveway, in front of your own house, as you know, nobody owns the street. And frankly, if it was a normal car and I wouldn't care. Free country. But man, when you don't have one and you're deliberately parking over here so you don't wake up your parents and all that other nonsense, and then you sit there, and how long did they sit there and idle? In front of my place? Nah. Some people mistake kindness for weakness in this world. If you're going to do something like that, you maybe should have registered your car back in October when it expired. Ling, ling, ling. Dallas Police Department. Hey, I got a thing I'd like to tell you about. Anyway. And I won't get stitches. What else am I supposed to do? I've been nice about it. I've been polite about it. She was on The Millionaire. The Millionaire. And this is this amazing show. I used to watch it in syndication all the time. At the time The Millionaire was on, $1 million was worth what would be $11 million today. And so there was this benefactor named John Beresford Tipton. And you heard his voice making observations and giving instructions, but they generally only saw his arm as he reached for a cashier's check for $1 million and handed it to his executive secretary, Michael Anthony. Now, Michael Anthony is interesting because he was a very, very, very good actor, but he was also the voiceover guy for the TV series, The FBI. He did a lot of voiceover as well. So, yeah. I got something on my glasses here. Okay, so in fact, at the end of every episode, John Beresford Tipton, this guy you never saw, it would say starring Inger Stevens, Forrest Tucker, and John Beresford Tipton to like kind of indicate that he was playing himself. But there was this speech he would give, and it was he would. My name is Michael Anthony, and until his death just a few years ago, I was the executive secretary to the late John Beresford Tipton. John Beresford Tipton, a fabulously wealthy and fascinating man whose many hobbies included his habit of giving away $1 million tax-free each week to persons he had never even met. And he also would do this little spiel with whoever the the people, he was giving the money to. Michael Anthony would say to them, my name is Michael Anthony, and I've been instructed by an anonymous donor to present you with a tax-free cashier's check for $1 million under the stipulation that you cannot reveal this donation or the source from which it came, except in the case of a spouse in the event that you marry. And it was always really deserving people. After the original spiel, you'd see this opulent mansion. This is Silverstone, John Beresford Tipson's 60,000-acre estate. From here, he spent the later years of his life pursuing many hobbies, often tied to his fascination with human nature and behavior. Mr. Tipton was a man of so many wide interests that when called into his presence, one never knew what to expect. And you'd see Michael Anthony entering the study or the veranda or whatever, and John Beresford Tipton would always be like building a ship in a bottle or doing some other hobby thing that he would do. And they were really interesting and very wide-ranging. And Michael Anthony would always, "You sent for me, sir?" And he would speak to Michael Anthony. He would call him Mike. And they'd chat about, "I was just considering here, you see this butter churn I'm restoring," or whatever he was doing. And explaining what caused him to choose our next millionaire before he actually handed him the check. And then he'll say, "I'll want a full report." Michael Anthony, by the way, Mr. Miller, was the only cast member seen in every episode. And he was only usually in the first few minutes, you know. And then at the very, very end, for just a second, to kind of tell him what was going to happen in the next week's episode. So, yeah. There was one other recurring actor on that show. You know what? I think I'm going to do The Millionaire as a show topic because it's it's such an interesting show. Millionaire. Yeah. And that was the banker at the Gotham Trust Bank where they drew the checks. Ed Herlihy, by the way, a newsreel narrator for Universal and a longtime radio announcer for NBC, as well as a very well-known children's host and actor, was the announcer for The Millionaire. Yeah. He was in like a lot of, there was another guy that was like in cameos all over the place for some reason. The beneficiaries were not always poor, but could be from any social class or occupation, from secretaries, salespeople, and construction workers, nor were they always likely to find their lives change for the better because of their wealth. You know? $207 episodes. 206 millionaires. Yes, one recipient returned the money. Yes. Anyway, sidetrack. Richard Diamond, Private Eye, I already told you the kind of interesting thing about that is that Mary Tyler Moore's legs were featured at the start of the TV show. Bat Masterson with Gene Barry, Alcoa Theater, The Lawless Years, Markham. Markham was an interesting show. Starred Ray Milland, which was a huge get. He was an Academy Award winner for crying out loud. 60 episodes. Johnny Staccato, which starred John Cassavetes. Tightrope. Oh boy, Tightrope. Tightrope was an interesting show. It starred Mike Connors, who later became Mannix, and it was just a police drama, but he was always the reason it's called Tightrope is he always went undercover to infiltrate gangs. So he was always on a tightrope. I talked about Whirlybirds the other day. That was a sort of an action-adventure drama with helicopters. Hennessy. Hennessy was a military drama that starred Jackie Cooper, Abby Dalton. Navy physician, Mr. Stanley Cross. Lieutenant Charles Chick Hennessy, out there solving murders. The Man from Black Hawk, U.S. Marshal. The Alaskans, Colt 45, Wagon Train. Shotgun Slade. Shotgun Slade, starring Scott Brady, who was very durable film and TV actor who, man, at the end of his career, he was doing B movies like you can't imagine, and he was good in them. I mentioned The Rebel with Nick Adams, who died all too soon. Hawaiian Eye, which was a Hawaiian Eye, 77 Sunset Strip, and Basin Street Beat, I think, was the third one. We're in like this triumvirate of shows that existed in the same universe. Incidentally, they all had really, really good Bourbon Street Beat, not Basin Street Beat, sorry. They all had really good theme songs, memorable. And they were all in these exotic kind of vacation locations and had very young upcoming stars. So 77 Sunset Strip and Hawaiian Eye, she was in both of them. The Tab Hunter Show, Tab Hunter, a tremendous heartthrob of the time. Michael Shayne, which starred Jeff Chandler, who is a very well-known film actor. He was, and Jeff Chandler played Michael Shayne on the radio. In the TV series, Richard Denning, another great actress, who was in a show with Lucille Ball that kind of ended up, it was on radio and kind of ended up being the basis for I Love Lucy after she married Desi Arnaz. Dante, which starred Howard Duff. My favorite Howard Duff production, he's hardly in, and it's called The Late Show. I got to recommend this movie to you guys. It's called The Late Show, and it stars Art Carney and Lily Tomlin as the most unlikely pair of detective partners ever. And it's really, really good. The Late Show. Art Carney is brilliant in it, as is Lily Tomlin. Check it out. Dante, The Brothers Flanagan, The Case of the Dangerous Robin. Zane Grey Theater, you all know Zane Grey. That's about as Western as it gets. Harrigan and Son, which starred Pat O'Brien, legendary film actor. Stagecoach West, which was about stagecoach drivers on the American frontier. It actually starred Wayne Rogers, who was on MASH at the very beginning. And she was in various roles on that program. Now, here's another one. And I think this particular show, you know, when people talk about famous Westerns, Bonanza, Gunsmoke, the first words that come out of the mouth. Occasionally, they'll throw in Maverick. They'll throw in The Big Valley. I would throw High Chaparral in there. But Laramie does not get the love that it deserves. I'm really serious about that. And Laramie had an incredible cast. John Smith played Slim Sherman, owner of the Sherman Ranch. His little tiny younger brother, Andy, played by Robert Crawford Jr. I wonder if he was related to Johnny Crawford from The Rifleman. Let's find out, shall we? Yeah, his brother was Johnny Crawford. But in the beginning of that series, they had this kind of, well, Robert Fuller was in it as well, who had previously been on Wagon Train and moved to Laramie. Later on, he was on, was it called Rescue? No, it was called Emergency, which was a cousin to Dragnet and Adam 12. Robert Fuller, great actor. He may still be with us. Maybe not. Yes, he is. He's still with us. I looked him up just last year, I think. Anyway, they had like a hired hand. It was this old guy that would keep the homestead running while these guys went off and did their adventures. And that guy was Hoagy Carmichael. Now, for those of you who don't know, Hoagy Carmichael was one of the most successful songwriters of all time, especially in the 1930s and 1940s. Ever hear of a song called Stardust or Georgia on My Mind, Mr. Stanley Cross, or The Nearness of You, or Heart and Soul, or other songs where he combined with Johnny Mercer, who's a famous songwriter as well, Lazy Bones, Skylark, but Oh Buttermilk Sky. I mean, just in the cool of the evening, Academy Award for that. He was also in To Have and Have Not. It was a Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall film. And I'm proud to say, Hoagy Carmichael, native Hoosier. That's right. These Indiana guys, they don't often leave the state, but when they do, look out. Gunsmoke, Cheyenne, The Dick Powell Show. The Dick Powell Show was an anthology show. I actually have a ton of The Dick Powell Show on DVD. Rawhide, The Andy Griffith Show, twice. Bonanza, Arrest and Trial, which was an early kind of almost Law and Order. The Twilight Zone, which we mentioned earlier. Temple Houston, which was a show that starred Jeffrey Hunter, the original Captain Pike on Star Trek. Fractured Flickers, which was basically, I don't want to call it a ripoff of Candid Camera, but because it wasn't really, but they did wacky things with short clips of film. They would overdub them with comic dialogue and stuff. So that's what they were, really. That's what they were. Travel of Jamie McFeeters with Kurt Russell, Dan O'Herlihy, and Charles Bronson was a supporting character on that. The Fugitive. Oh, do I have to talk about that again? Do I have to? Really? Angels Travel on Lonely Roads. She's only in part 2, but man, does she steal the show. The Virginian, well-known Western series, Burke's Law. Burke's Law was great. Amos Burke, played by Gene Barry, millionaire, becomes captain of the LAPD, chauffeured to his crimes in a 62 Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud. Interesting show. Gomer Pyle, USMC. And by the way, this is an extremely memorable episode of Gomer Pyle, USMC. Gomer dates a movie star. She plays the movie star. Let's delve into that one a little. Let's put my ugly mug on the face. Sorry, I've been just sitting here talking. Let's see. Let's look into that one because it's a really great episode. It's poignant, like a lot of episodes of of Gomer Pyle. Sanguine. Some would say schmaltzy. Gomer dates a movie star. Let's see if I can get to the synopses of this particular episode, of this stunning episode of Gomer Pyle, USMC. Gomer's favorite actress visits the base. That's not gonna cut it. By the way, Ruta Lee in this one plays Gomer's favorite movie actress, Gloria Morgan. Gloria Morgan is the actual name of Gomer Pyle, USMC's series continuity supervisor. I love trivia like that. I really do. Come on, man. Nobody did a review. Nobody. Oh, user reviews. Be the first. See, now I'm gonna have to really get into this one. They forced me into it. Now you guys are gonna have to see. You guys are really gonna have to see me at my researching best. Okay. Gomer dates a movie star. Gomer ends up dating two females, the colonel's daughter and a female movie star at the same time. That's not much of a review. I'll find one. Trust me, I'll find one. Daggone it. Let's see. Maybe this is it. Rotten Tomatoes. Come on, Rotten Tomatoes. Well, actually, the whole episode is available here that I can watch later, which I will in my research. Let's see. What's this one say? Oh, it's called Lies, Lies, Lies. I mean, it's not the same episode. But Gomer dates a movie star is on YouTube. And I will be watching it later. Because I've got that kind of free time. I've got that Riz. Let's see here about. Oh, come on now. The beautiful Ruta Lee is the first comment on here. Let's see here. Anyway, I'll give you a report on Monday. Oh, wait a second. Shows in the house. Hi, Stanley. Nope, can't hear it. Stanley's laughing. Stanley says, let me tell you about expired registration laws. Johnny Mercer was from Savannah, I believe. From somewhere down there. Him and Hoagie Carmichael. Can you imagine sitting around with those two guys, probably chain smoking and coming up with Georgia? I mean, come on. Old buttermilk sky. Okay. Wackiest ship in the Army, the Wild Wild West, the Lucy Show, Judd for the defense, the best defense the law will allow. That starred, by the way, Judd was shortened from Judinsky, sorry, Carl Betts, who played Donna Reed's husband for 8 years. And this was a serious legal drama, you know, who would take these controversial cases, could always crack the case. I'm not asking what you can believe. I'm asking what you know, or what you can prove. Mannix. Man, I saw a photo today on Ruta Lee's IMDb page. If SG Fanboy was around, there's a photo of Ruta Lee with Mike Connors from, I believe, this episode of Mannix titled Run Sheep Run, which, well, I won't get into that, but if he could Photoshop my face onto Mike Connors for this, oh my God. I thought about reaching out to him, but he hasn't been around lately. I think he's pretty busy with his new job and stuff. I might. I wouldn't do it for anybody but Ruta Lee. I wouldn't bug him. Hogan's Heroes, Ironside, The Flying Nun, 2 times. Marcus Welby, MD, Love American Style, Mayberry RFD, The Mod Squad, a show called Arnie, which was a sitcom with Herschel Bernardi, who's a very funny man. Me and the Chimp starred. The guy from That Girl, the boyfriend from That Girl, who was Ted Bessel. Yeah, and he owned a chimp. And you can only imagine the wacky hijinks that ensued. Match Game, she was a guest panelist there. High Rollers, where she played, not even played, she was just herself the hostess. Indict and Convict, Roll, Freddie, Roll, which is a television movie. Mork and Mindy, yes, she was on Mork and Mindy. Three's Company, Vegas, good old Dan Tana. Vegas, Robert Urich. The Ghosts of Buxley Hall was a made-for-TV fantasy comedy movie that was produced by Walt Disney. Fantasy Island 3 times. Elvis and the Beauty Queen, which was a TV movie. Three's Company again. Simon and Simon. Madam's Place. I don't know if you guys remember Madam's Place, but that was basically Waylon Flowers, puppet. She was on that. Chips, y'all know Chips. The Rousters, group of modern-day bounty hunters. That's right. Hotel with Josh Brolin. Sorry, James Brolin. Listen to me. Listen to me, James Brolin. First and 10, which was that HBO sitcom about football that aired between 84 and 91, ran a long time. The Love Boat, soon we'll be making another run. The Love Boat. Man, I might watch that later. Let me see when that is. What season was that of The Love Boat? Love Boat was interesting because the title to each episode was 3 titles. It was 3 titles because there were 3 plots on The Love Boat, as we covered in our show about it. And that would have been Season 8, Episode 23. I may try to watch that on demand later on. I may just. By the way, for those of you keeping score at home, where can I watch The Love Boat, Boat on demand free? Streaming. Pluto. Well, there we are. Pluto. I'll watch it on Pluto then. There's no doubt about it. There's no need for me to go any further than that, right? Sorry. And that was, what did I say? Season 8, Episode 3? Episode 23. Sorry. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm so... Blame Stanley. I was up for 52 hours yesterday, having a good time. Benson. She played Zelma Romankoff. Oh, no, Romankoff, sorry. The Smurfs, she was a voice there. Scooby-Doo in the Ghoul School, another voice acting position. At Coming of Age, we talked about that. Jake and the Fat Man. Timeless Tales from Hallmark. Charles in Charge. Murder, She Wrote. Delta, which I believe was the Delta Burke spinoff sitcom after she left Designing Women. Roseanne, how about that? Saved by the Bell. Power Rangers, Life with Bonnie Hunt. Yes. She played Mrs. Ruta Blanchett, so she got to use her first name. Studio House, Christmas Do-Over, Days of Our Lives. There you go. That's just about as much into the history of Ruta Lee. So as you can see, an amazingly talented actress that was a part of just about every seminal Western or TV show for decades. And I have to tell you, every single performance made that show, even as good as it was, something special. Something special. And that's all I got. Unless somebody wants me to open the phone lines. If you want me to open the phone lines, say so here. I don't know what tomorrow's show is about, frankly. I just don't. I wish I did, but I don't, because I'm tired. I spent a lot of time this morning. Oh, guys, you're going to love this. I'm redoing the merchandise store. You're welcome. When Cafe Press redid everything, right? When they made that big sort of change that they didn't notify me about, they messed up a bunch of the logos. So instead of just being the floating logo, it's got a square behind it, but not on everything. I have to go back and recreate all of those products. And so I'll do that maybe a little bit tonight and tomorrow. Readjust the prices as low as I can get them. Still make it worth everybody's while. Add some products, I'm certain. You don't need to thank me. And, get that gussied up. I'm also going to add some products that I designed from scratch for the people in the Pot Awful cult. Remember when we had Scott from Australia on? Yeah, they want a shirt about that. And Scott, the other day, made the mistake when I was in their Discord of pronouncing his name improperly. Because he's Australian. And he said skant by mistake. Just a flub. Anybody can do it. Well, if you've noticed, and I'm sure you have, I then went back onto my YouTube page here, and instead of having it say Scott from Australia, it now says skant from Australia. And I'm going to make a t-shirt with the thumbnail of that show. Long and short sleeve, of course, in a variety of fashion colors. There she is, Ms. Ruta Lee. She's going to be with us. I'm very intimidated. And we'll try to get through it together, Hopefully we will. And I do apologize for me being so incredibly low energy. I am just really tired. And again, it is all the fault of Stanley Cross. If it wasn't for Stanley, I would be fit as a fiddle and ready for love. But no. No, I'm a grown man. It was my own doing. I was having such a nice time. As always. And I highly recommend that you listen. And now, Stanley's show is not like my show. It will involve a lot of news. It will involve a lot of, shall we say, rigorous political debate and mountains of profanity. I won't be using any, but everyone else will. Occasionally, an epithet will be issued forth. Oh God, the revenue on this show has just plummeted to nothing. It's not even revenue anymore. Why did I come over here? I don't even remember why I came here to do something to one of the shows. I know what I came here to do. I need to edit. I need to put Ruta Lee in my playlists under both TV history and Tom's special guest star interviews. Both. Wow. Guys, this is no joke. I've been talking to Ed Robertson, and you've seen, Stanley's laughing, you've seen the episodes where we talked to Ed Robertson. I had emailed back and forth with him because he mentioned, hey, how about I do your show again, you do my show again? And I said, cool. And he was out there during the fires, so I waited a while. Because I'm classy. I'm classy that way. Everything we do here is classy. Here's proof. My pinky's out. And for years, this is not a new thing, I have mentioned to him that I think the greatest guest star actress in the history of television is Ruta Lee. I think second place is Barbara Rush, and I think third place is Louise Latham. Those are my three. You all know who I think number one is in the actor category, and that's the great John Dehner. I'd have to think really hard about the other ones. Really hard. Yeah. I know that I would consider Harry Towns. I would consider Robert Middleton. But I'd have to think hard because there's probably other ones. Anyway. Oh, I just thought Royal Dano could be in there. Yeah. John McIntyre, he could be in there. Anyway. Stanley Cross says, Stanley versus the World takes inspiration from The Thick of It. Well, The Thick of It is one of my very favorite shows ever. So, I was looking for where to watch that because for a time it was available free streaming. It's not anymore. Man, is that a funny show. Man, is that funny. At any rate, that's our little presentation for you today. I really appreciate you guys that are members. The dwindling numbers, by the way, of our members. And we gotta get a little nitro in this baby. We gotta, perhaps Ruta Lee will be just that injection of spreading the word that we need to get. But I am humbled and grateful for the folks who do attend and that do follow the program, and hopefully you're enjoying it. And do not hesitate at any point in time to tell me if there's a subject you'd like covered, because I know Tuesday night we are doing Rodney Dangerfield at the behest of my very good friend the Wolf. I have to pick an appropriate Monday, and it's got to be a biggie. It's got to be a blockbuster building up to, the legendary Ruta Lee. So, at any rate, I'm looking at that old clock on the wall. And like the Reverend Al Green, I got to get on up out of here. You do not have to go home. Oh, no. But you can't stay here. And with all that being said, I think the only thing left to say is, till next time, we'll see you next time.
One, two, three, four. They call me Mr. Gulley. I've got something for your ear. Now it might sound kind of funny, but I'll make it very clear. So what we talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin', and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. talking